All right, y'all. So in this video, I'm going to talk about a very important thing that I feel, people need to be aware of because it really helped me when I understood it. Healing the wounds of Saturn, or climbing the mountain of Saturn. I think that's the best way to put it. Climbing the mountain of Saturn. You gotta understand that Saturn. Okay, a lot of people. Okay, I'm gonna have to say this because there's no other way to say it. Saturn is the last gate you cross over before you get to the eighth sphere, which is where all human souls go. Saturn is the last gate. Is the highest. Is the most hardest because it calls for the mature soul. It calls for the mature soul. You cannot successfully cross the gate of Saturn, and say that you've done it if your soul is not mature. Because there are the 7 lords, and the order of those 7 lords is Moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Then after the Saturn, then you get into the 8th. Okay? So now, Saturn is a very karmic planet. That is where the most challenge in your life is at. Where Saturn is sitting. What Saturn is squaring. Square. Like square. What Saturn is squaring, where Saturn is sitting, is the area of your life that you need to transcend if you are remotely interested in spiritual evolution. That's the area right there. Most people, and the square is not, Saturn squares this, so no. The square involves you healing whatever that square implies for you. Because without healing that square, you are not going to be able to become who you are supposed to become. That square is going to keep you behind. And in my own chart, for instance, Saturn squares my 2nd house. Saturn squares my moon, which is my 2nd house, in 11 degrees, exact square, because Saturn is sitting in 11 degrees in Virgo, squaring my moon, which is sitting at 11 degrees in Sagittarius, also squaring my 8th house. So it's sitting in my 11th house, squaring my 2nd house, squaring my 8th house. Why is that important? Because in the 8th house, I have the asteroid Hecate, exactly 11 degrees. Exactly 11 degrees, the exact square. What does that tell you? Okay. Now, if you have a square, so an 8th house, that already means that Saturn is waiting for you to mess up with 8th house shit. Now, considering the fact that I'm a naturally spiritual person, so it was important to me that I knew what my limitations were, or I knew, not even that I knew what my limitations were, but it was important to me to understand why Saturn squared Hecate. Hecate they call her the goddess of witchcraft, but that's not true. She's other things, but she is a triple moon goddess. She is the goddess of transformation that happens in the psyche, because she has 3 faces, so she sees everywhere, and she has a light that's supposed to guide you as you walk through the dark tunnels of your life to bring up information that will help you. And she also has a sword to kill anything that comes your way. So why is Saturn squaring that? But to look at my 8th house, I have to look at my 2nd house, because it's also squaring my 2nd house. Until I understood that the house where Saturn is sitting is where the energy block is happening. In other words, if I did not heal my Saturn square, my 2nd house, for instance, I would have skipped that and would have gone to the 8th house and done messed up with the 8th house, doing shit in the 8th house. Meanwhile, I have Midas, the asteroid Midas, whatever you touch is gold. I have Midas conjuncting Hecate. Exact conjunct. In other words, I have the ability to make great wealth out of matters of the 8th house. Okay, what are the matters of the 8th house? Witchcraft, spells, all those dirty things. That's out of the 8th house. That's not 12th house, that's the 8th house. Okay? But because I was born with the moon in Sagittarius in the 2nd house, I already had a lofty way of looking at things. Okay? But because my moon is also conjunct Neptune, that means I already had a godlike, transcendental way of looking at things. So when I got to my 8th house, I could see from top down, because you gotta understand that the opposition to my 2nd house of Sagittarius is Gemini. Gemini does not have the understanding that Sagittarius has. Gemini does not have the maturity to comprehend things the way a Sagittarius does, simply because Gemini is of the 3rd house, the Sagittarius is of the 9th house. But because my 2nd house is higher in terms of evolutionary wise than my 8th house, I had an upper perspective on the matters of the 8th house. I was able to look at my 8th house and see it from a godlike perspective. So I don't go into my 8th house looking to do things that are dirty. Understand? And besides that, Saturn is already sitting in my 11th house waiting for me to do it with a square, exact square. Does this make sense? So if I had skipped over healing my moon square Saturn, which meant that I wasn't loved by my mother, she wasn't supposed to, I wasn't given that nurturing. So if I had kept that wound and skipped past that growth and went straight to the 8th house, I would have gone into the 8th house and I would have tried to do things with the 8th house energy that I shouldn't have done. And Saturn was over there in the 11th house waiting for me to mess up. So that karma will come on me hard. The first karma, because I think that because Saturn is in Virgo, I would have fucking been sick. Probably. Because I was messing with energy that wasn't healthy. So whatever house Saturn is in is important. So let me now tell you how that happened. So once I was able to fix my Saturn's moon square, I was able to learn how to love, release my feminine energy, release all the hurt, release all the wound. I was able to do all of that, right? And I was able to tap into that healing, because Virgo is the energy of the helper, is the energy of the healer, right? So once I healed myself, I was able to tap into that healing energy of Virgo. So when I go into the 8th house, which is where I'm from, remember I have a stellium in Scorpio. When I go into the 8th house, I look into the 8th house, and through the goddess Hecate, I find things that will heal humanity, and I bring it to you via the 11th house. Now, if I had skipped that 2nd house growth, I would have gone into the 8th house, and I would have tapped into the dark side of goddess Hecate and brought to you things that will harm you. And then Saturn will literally mess me up. People don't understand astrology. They don't understand the gift that it is. They don't understand the gift that astrology is. So now I look at that 8th house, goddess Hecate. In fact, I have a fixed star sitting in my 8th house. Archangel, the fixed star Aldebaran sitting in my 8th house, because I have Antares sitting in my 2nd. All would have messed me up had I gone the wrong route. So understanding the purpose of Saturn in your natal chart and trying not to skip it. Instead, find an understanding for what that is and heal it. And this is where I'm going to help you guys, okay? I'm not going to do a whole natal chart reading for you. But if you have a Saturn square in your chart, Saturn squaring anything, please, I put a number. There's a post that I put there, and I put my Google voice number on there. Text me, okay? Let me help you navigate this square, because this square is important. A lot of us are having issues in our lives because we have a Saturn square that we haven't fixed. My man has a Saturn square, squares his 1st house and sitting in his 10th. And until he heals that first house square, he's not going to be able to bring out through his 7th house what he needs to give people in the 10th house. So it's very complicated, but it's not if you understand the simple logic of it. Does this make sense? So for you to, if you have a mind to transcend and be in the army of Christ in this time, the first thing you need to know is yourself. The first thing you need to deal with is your karma. The first thing you need to understand is your natal chart, so you can know what the heck you're supposed to be doing and how you're supposed to be doing it.